art block. I did it again. Gally from East said, please don't cheat. I saw a bad beat. I did it again. I slime. Run. 2. I did it again. I slide. I run. Block from Madness went to art block and I did it again. I weren't hanging around for dramatics. Dash, I weren't hanging around for dramatics. Should I add the bear? I feel like I should add the bear. Ah, shit. Why do I have to be so good at storytelling? I think I have to add the bear to this. Wait. That could actually be a reference to the bear being in hibernation. That kind of works. I don't know if I like it though. Okay, I'm kind of feeling something here. Let's see. In these streets, men are getting yanged up every night. That's the violence and hatred that shed the weak and worthless side of me. Grail's here to stay. In again, slide. You will never understand where I come from. You're either the greatest or you're nothing. This needs so much work. Ah, shit. I could have it be a conversation between the voice in her head and her. Even though she sat alone, the last thing she felt was privacy. Because I could do that. I could play off that. What's up, Cot? I got a bit of time to work on this, so I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. I have like a pretty big decision to make with how I'm gonna like change this. But I think I've already started, to be honest. I think I've already started. I'm about to just space that down to make sure I know where I'm at, and then just keep moving it. I have a lot to change on this piece. This is like a piece I wrote years ago, and I I have to change like a lot. Because when I originally wrote this, Grail was writing. She's like writing about herself in this piece. But I don't like that, because I don't think she would even know how to write. Because she was never taught, so she wouldn't know how to write. And also, even if she did know how to write, she doesn't want to, you know? So I justified it in this piece by, like, saying, let's see, like, this line right here, basically, this is where it, like, this is part of where it gets justified, of, like, for the first time ever, Grail was about to convince herself to try something new. She thought about Nelly and how she was always so happy and wondered how it was possible. Life is not about happiness, not Grail's way of life. But despite all that, she had enough strength to lift her ego aside and pick up the small book Nelly had given her. Maybe writing is what kept Nelly so happy. After all, Grail always heard how happy she was when she wrote about the man in her dreams. But Nelly told her that she should only write about things that she truly feels. Something about herself. She told her to try to write down her feelings, what was left of them anyway. So basically, like, Grail starts to write, which really isn't her thing, but basically the idea is that she's trying it because Nelly told her it would help. And Grail does have a lot of respect for Nelly, so even though this isn't something that Grail would want to do, per se, it makes sense that Nelly has convinced her to try it. That's the idea. And basically all of these parts are her writing, right? You know, she's basically kind of writing out her frustrations. But what I'm debating changing it to is, like, Grail has this, like, she has this wicked, like, voice in her head that talks shit to her at all times. And in this piece, she's out in the wilderness and there's nothing around. There's no people around or anything. What I'm debating switching it to is going back through all these lines, and instead of writing it, she's like having an out loud conversation with herself. And there's like, she's like almost like having an argument with herself because the voice in her head has like pissed her off to the point where she's like ranting and like talking shit. That's what I'm debating doing, because that also might get across how bad her anger is. It's like she's literally arguing with herself, like no one's around. And it's like, it's frustrating, but the problem with that is then there's some lines like, there's lines like, so like this is perfect for this, like this type shit. This is like where she gets mad and she's like, what the fuck are you doing? Because she like sees a reflection of herself and she's writing, which pisses her off, right? She's like, what, are you weak now? Are you weak now? And then she responds to herself. Like, she says, are you weak now? And she knows she's not weak and responds by saying, like, I'm not weak. Next time I'll show you. Next time I'm gonna make you swim. Which is just a threat. And so, like, that shit kind of works. But what doesn't work probably is this. And this part is, like, the best part. Like, this is her talking about her sister, man. And I don't know if she would talk about her sister out loud. Because, see, like, it's phrased in a way where she's clearly writing it, you know, or she's telling you, right? Like, once, quite some time ago, when I was only 5 years old, I recall the only memory I have of my family. I vaguely recall my older sister holding me, smiling with what seemed like pure happiness, which I'll never feel and never understand. I was never given a name, so she came up with one there. She said it with her bright and illuminating smile, which now makes me sick. What a lovely name, huh? But none of that matters anymore, but none of that means anything to me. You'll do as I say, and you'll speak my true name and speak it with some fucking respect, not some pointless name I was given. And not only was it given, but given by my sister, a weak and pathetic person who left me to die, just like our mother and father did to us. Like, that doesn't sound like something she'd rant about out loud. Like, this is clearly something she's getting, like, she's writing, she's getting it off her chest kind of thing. So it doesn't really make sense that she'd say it, although I can kind of change it, maybe. Like, I could change it to be something like, you know, the inner voice could be like, but what about your sister? And then she could, like, reply by being like, what, that weak and pathetic person that left me to die? Fuck off. Like, I can have that. Like, I can have it like that kind of vibe, where it's like, it just naturally gives it to you. Like, she's not trying to tell you, it's just like, everything's coming out. She's mad about it all. And, like, I can keep this response where she's like, yeah, if my sister still lives, she has to beg every god humanity created that I'll not come face to face, like, she won't come face to face with me. If we do cross paths, she'll no longer need to beg them, only beg me to spare the waste that's her life, because with me, I'll bring some judgment. Like, this is, like, her getting really mad. And then she kind of gets, like, calmer here, where it's like, it doesn't even matter, though. I don't even know her name, so, like, what's the point at this point? The end result would only lead to more darkness and tragedy, for her that is. I just wonder where she was when I wandered those streets alone, when I was chefed by people I previously trusted and beaten until I could barely breathe, when I had to fight just to fucking eat. Who was there? Who was with me when I splashed a man down to protect myself? And he was a well-known striker. Yeah, like, I could edit this all to be like, basically it's her talking to the voice in her head. Yeah, I could do something like that. But this part is so good. I just don't like the idea that she's writing, because I just don't think she would. I mean, the reasoning for her, like, the justification for her writing is actually decent. It's, you know, the whole, like, Nelly has convinced her to do it. Like, honestly, that is a decent justification, because Nelly, if anything, Nelly is the only one that could convince her to do it. So it makes some sense, but I could definitely, like, edit all this to where she's, like, just having the conversation to herself kind of thing. And then I could do some super cool, like, stuff with the voice in her head. Because the voice in her head is definitely, like, one of the stars of her character as well. Just constantly, like, digging in at, like, petty shit. And, like, that's what's keeping her so angry. It's like she can't get away from it. Something like this. So I'm, like, starting to add lines in here, because originally this was like, even though she sat alone, the last thing she felt was privacy. When I first wrote this, that was the only line. Then it skipped to this. For the first time ever, Grail's about to convince herself to try something new. But then now I've added this, like, even though she sat alone, the last thing she felt was privacy. Something sinister embedded in her head gave her unwanted company wherever she might roam. So, like, that, this is, like, the start of maybe me adding that. It's like, maybe I should add it to where she's having this, like, back and forth with this thing in her head, basically. And she can't. She just wants to be alone for once, but it's like it's like she's, like, at a constant crossroads with something. Like, it's like she's, like, tied to somebody that she's arguing with, kind of. It's like, I can't get away from it. But if I change it, all of this has to go. But honestly, I would also prefer that this doesn't involve Nelly, though, I think. Maybe I could add the bear as well. That's something I could do. I could add the bear. Also, I think I want to switch the title. But I'm not sure. I guess I'll start chipping away at this and see what happens. So like right here, like this is like narration right at the moment. Like life's not about happiness, not Grail's way of life. But I could change this to be like the voice kind of thing. Like I could change it to where it's like, you know, like right here. So it's like, you know, this thing is bothering her in her head. I could add some sort of line where it's like, this is paraphrasing it, but like something like this, like, why can't you leave man alone? And then the voice in her head responds by basically being like saying like this, like life ain't about happiness. Life ain't about happiness. Does that have a... It does, right? Life ain't about happiness, not our way of life. Like, I could do something like this, where it's like, instead it's, like, take what I've already got, and then just, like, have a back and forth here. But I'm not sure if I like it or not. I mean, I'll only know if I finish it, you know? But it's like, why can't you leave man alone? Life ain't about happiness, not our way of life, it echoed. It answered. It answered. I could make it a bit more clear that it's, like, something going on in her head before this, but... I really like this line though too, but it's like, but now I have to like I really like the idea of like, or this line of like, she had enough strength to lift her ego aside. I mean, I could change it to where like it answered, if only you had. I can make it like this thing is digging at her, you know, that's kind of what it does. If only you had enough strength to lift that ego aside. Lift your ego aside. But I don't know what it would say that for. But like, that would be something it would say. It's like, life ain't about happiness, not our way of life, it answered. If only you had enough strength to lift that ego aside, you could... Something like that. I don't know though, because like what it would say to her, like right here, like the thread it would say, or like whatever it would be saying to her, would essentially be like, well, what goes on in my mind is basically like the thing it says to her is like, it has one line where it's like, oh, maybe you could make something of yourself tonight, walk the block and like basically walk the block and glide kind of shit. But it doesn't really fit this line. Like, if only you had enough strength to lift your ego aside, maybe you'd walk the block. I don't know, something like that. But it doesn't really work that way, because it's like, what? Her ego, if anything, her ego should... If anything, her ego would help that, I feel like. Because her ego makes her feel, like, unstoppable. So it's like, that's part of what makes her do that. So it doesn't really work, like, if you say, oh, lift your ego aside to do that. I'm trying to think of what would... I mean, we could do, like... I mean, like, I don't know if it makes perfect sense though, but like that's a good, like, that's a line for it. Life ain't about happiness, not our way of life, it answered. If only you had enough strength to lift your ego aside, we could get to work on the ends. If only you had enough strength to lift your ego aside. Only all that strength. If only all that strength. I'm trying to get like the slang down though. If only all that strength. If only all that strength could lift your ego aside. Yeah, like I have to work with like all this shit again. Wait. Can't you leave a man alone? They clicked on the wrong thing. If only all that strength could lift your ego aside. Could lift your ego aside. Maybe we could get some work. Maybe we could get to work. Maybe we could get to work on the ends. Like, I feel like I shouldn't say the, you know? I feel like it should be like something like that, but it's like, I don't know, man. Is that too much? I don't want to go overboard with the slang, but like, they don't say the. They don't say the, you know? Like, life ain't about happiness, not our way of life, it answered. If only all that strength could lift your ego aside, maybe we could get to work on the ends. Like, you know, it's like, it's not, it's like a very faint, like, D sound, but it's not the, it's like D ends. Like, we could get to work on all the ends. Maybe we could get to work on the ends. I don't know. Not sure if I like it or not. I feel like I don't like it, but then if I put the, it's like the, it sounds too strong. They don't use H's. I could do it without an H, I guess. That looks weird, though. All the ends. Why can't you just leave a man alone? Why can't you just leave man alone? Why can't you leave man alone? Why can't you just leave man alone? Why can't you just leave man alone? Why can't you just leave man alone? Life ain't about happiness, not our way of life, it answered. If only all that strength could lift your ego aside, maybe then we could get to, maybe then we could get to work on the ends. This is literally how I create all the slang shit. I just have to speak it. I have to speak it and like just pretend like that's my accent and just try to figure out what it sounds like. Write the actual lines usually, then just create all that shit. Can't you just leave a man alone? Rah, why can't you just leave man alone? Why can't you just leave man alone? Okay. Yeah, I think I want to get rid of everything involving Nelly in the story, because Nelly's part doesn't mention Grail, and I don't think this part should mention Nelly. You should only write about, she truly feels something about herself. She told her to try and write down her feelings, what was left of them anyways. The problem is I'm gonna lose so much of the story changing this, you know what I mean? Like, changing the fact, because, like, it's obviously about her writing, so... Something about herself. So, like, all this, like, is definitely gone. Let's see what else. Something about herself. She told her to try and write down her feelings, what was left of them anyways. Like, see, like, that's a good line, but... if only all that strength could lift your ego aside, maybe then we could get to work on the ends. Maybe then we could get to work on the ends. Too bad man's sitting here dwelling in feelings. Ain't nothing left. I don't know, I can't really turn this line into something. Two Mad Mans. I don't know if I would want it to be this long either. If only all that strength could lift your ego side, maybe then we could get to work on the ends. Too bad man's sitting here dwelling on feelings, ain't nothing left. So why not walk the block and glide? Why not walk the block? Too bad man's sitting here dwelling on feelings, ain't nothing left. Ain't nothing left. Why not walk? What was left of them anyway? Too bad man's sitting here dwelling on feelings, what's left of them anyways. I don't know, I'm just gonna lose so fucking much of this, man. I mean, I have like a saved copy of the previous thing, so obviously I could fuck this up and it's fine, but I just don't know if it's worth changing this to such a difficult, like, this is like the most difficult thing I've ever had to switch, because it's just so much. I'm switching the entire idea of this, but also trying to keep the, like, the lines, which is really difficult. I don't know if it would say this. I don't know if it would say anything about feelings. I think we just gotta chalk that up. Because, like, this sounds good. Like, life ain't about happiness, not our way, life. It answered, if only all that strength could lift your ego side, maybe then we could get to work on the ends. Yeah, that sounds like something it would say. It's trying to get her back to, like, doing the bad things. That's what it knows she likes, kind of deep down. I don't know how I'm gonna even transition into this idea, though. But I want this to be said, too. I just don't think it'll be like Nelly. We're all here for a reason. Everyone has a place in this world. But not all of us are destined for greatness. Most of you nothing more than a small piece of a much larger story. My story. Basically, like, that's what she's essentially saying. I don't know, man. I have, like, no confidence doing this, I'm not gonna lie. This is just, like, I just don't even know where to start to switch this. Dude, I don't, like, I'm literally not even hitting the back button because I'm just like, I mean, this line doesn't belong, but I'm just like, what the fuck do I even change all this shit to, bro? Like, so much of this is all about writing, pretty much. I'm just gonna speak some of it. I'm gonna just read some of it. I mean, I don't even know if anyone's still here. I'm just gonna read some of this, and I'm just gonna, like, instead of reading exactly what I wrote, I'm gonna, like, try to read it in a way where it would be her arguing instead, and just see what it sounds like. Just whatever comes to my mind. Let's see. We all like to think we're the centerpiece, but chances are you're only feeling something much bigger than yourself without even realizing it. Some of us are just here to die. Your death could be the catalyst for a famed warrior's rise to dominance. Maybe such is your purpose in life, just a fall in battle, years in the making. But me, I'm so much more than just a piece of some fucking story. We're not the same. Let's not pretend we are. You're nothing like me. Most people don't like the violence, but I know it was the greatest thing to ever happen to me. And these streets, men are getting yanged up every night. That's the violence and hatred that shed the weak and worthless side of me. She doesn't live, but Grail's here to stay. She doesn't live. She doesn't live, but Grail's here to stay. Rod, this hate is truly a gift. It's the only thing I got left. It's the only thing man's got left. The only thing that won't leave me. The only thing that won't abandon me. Greatest thing I ever felt. This feeling's given me everything I could ever want, this feeling's given me everything I could want, made me into exactly what I wanted to be. No one understands, you won't understand where I come from. You're either the greatest or you're nothing. I used to be nothing. Man used to be nothing. Viewed myself less than a woman, less than a person at a point in my life, but I refused to be nothing, so I found a way. She paused for a moment. Grail found a way. Now I stand with none my equal, you know this to be true. You know this to be true. Now you stand with none your equal. Yeah, I know this is true. Like, I could do something like that. It's like a back and forth between her, like, but now you stand with none your equal. Like, that could be the voice in her head. But now you stand with none your equal. Yeah, I know this is true. Like, it can be like that. It's like the voice, like, convinces her of things, too. It's there for her in a weird way, but it's also, like, really aggressive and angry. Yeah, but now you stand with none your equal. Yeah, but look at you now. Yeah, but look at you now. Now you stand with none your equal. Yeah, I know this is true. Could be something like that. Let me see, what else is there that could be, like, back and forth? We're not the same, so let's not pretend we are. You're nothing like me. Nope. Like, I could also have, like, it in the background. You ain't nothing like me. Nope. Like, it could be, like, something in the background. Especially, like, when I do the audiobook of it. Like, I don't even have to put, like, nope in there, or whatever word. But I could do that. Like, almost like ad-libs. You ain't nothing like me. Nope. Like, something. Like, it could be something like that. Something different about, like, you just hear the voice in her head as she's bitching about this shit. Like, I mean, I could do some pretty sinister shit with it. Like, it could be cool. Like for this line, like, I could do some. These are just, I mean, I'm just spitballing here, just some ideas. But, like, I could do, like, an audiobook of it where it's like, in these streets, men are getting yinged up every night. I did that. Like, something like that, right? Like, it could be like that. Like, in these streets, men are getting yinged up every night, and I was doing that. Like, something like that. Like, in the background. Like, that's the violence and hatred that shed the weak and worthless side of me. She don't live, but Grail's here to stay. Like, I could do something like that, where it's like, it's in the background. Like, the voice is in the background. But the problem with doing it like that is I don't feel like I could... I don't know if I could write that, though. You know what I mean? Like, it would have to be an audiobook only type thing. It's like she's complaining, but there's a second voice going on in the back. The only way you could write it is, like, doing something like... Let's see. Like, in these streets, men are getting yinged up every night. And I did that. Like, it would have to be like that. And I did that. I did that. Like, something like that. It could hit fucking hard, too, if it's done right. Like, in these streets, men are getting yinged up every night. I did that. But, like, if you read it without me reading it, it won't be good, though. Like, you'll read it weird, I feel like. In these streets, men are getting yinged up every night. I did that. That's the vibe. Like, it's weird, you know what I mean? And I did that. But it would be so fucking sick, though, if I did the voice, like, back-to-back with her like that, though. Like, that would be crazy. I want to dabble with this idea, because this idea is crazy. Ad-libs. Like, that's literally what I'm, like, thinking of, is, like, ad-libs. Let's see. Like, we all like to think we are the centerpiece, but we all like to think that we are... She wouldn't say this. This is also, like, what I wanted to change. Is, like, she uses a lot of big words here, and she don't... Like, this is before she talked with slang. This is, like, I wrote this so long ago. But the ad-libs could go so fucking hard. Like, I'm kind of feeling that shit. Because, like, that's how the voice works in her head. It's, like... Especially when she's being, like, dominant and, like, aggressive, it agrees with her. It's, like, yeah. Like, so, like, there's times in the book, or in the short story, where she's, like... She's like, how many times do I gotta tell you I'm different? And, like, in her head, like, the voice is like, yeah, we're different. Like, it's agreeing with her. It's literally like her hype man, essentially, in some situations. Like, yeah, I'm different. We're different. And I could do that here, where it's like, maybe at first she's like, why don't you leave me alone? Right? Rah, why can't you just leave man alone? Cause life ain't about happiness, not our way of life. It answered, if only all that strength could lift your ego aside, maybe then we could get to work on the ends. I like that idea, though. Oh, it's tough though. Some of us are just here to die. Your very death could be the catalyst for a famed warrior's rise to dominance. Like, she wouldn't say any of this anymore. That's the other thing, is like, I love what she said. The context, or like the substance of what she said is perfect, but she would not say this anymore. She would not say catalyst. She wouldn't say like a famed warrior's rise to dominance. She wouldn't say any of that shit. Like, she speaks differently, like completely differently now. Maybe such is your purpose in life, just to fall in battle, years in the making. But me, I'm so much more than just a piece of some fucking story. She would say that still. Maybe that's... She wouldn't say such. She'd say maybe that's your purpose in life. Maybe that's your purpose in life. Maybe that's man's purpose in life. Maybe that's your purpose in life. Just to fall in battle, years in the making. But me? But me? But me? Man's so much more. But me? Man's so much more than just... Man's so much more than just a piece of some fucking story. It's like raw. We all not the... It's like raw. We not the same, let's not pretend we are. Like, raw, we ain't the same, so let's not pretend we are. You ain't nothing like me. You're nothing like me. Man's nothing like me. Man's nothing like me. Man's nothing like me. Most bitch about the violence. Like, raw, we ain't the same, so let's not pretend we are. Man's nothing like me. Most men out here acting tough, bitching about violence, like is man the only one that knows, is man the only one that knows it was the greatest thing to ever happen? That doesn't really sound right, but the idea is there. It's trying to shift the lines into these heavy slang. And I don't want her, like, cussing so much, but also it's like, it kind of just, that's how she would say it, I don't know. Like, you're out here bitching. Rah, we ain't the same, so let's not pretend we are. Rah, we ain't the same, let's not pretend we are. There would be no comma there. Or there would be no word so there. Like, rah, we ain't the same, let's not pretend we are. Man's nothing like me. Most men out here acting tough. Them man acting tough. Them man out here acting tough. Them man out here acting tough, bitching about violence, but then bitching about violence. Them man out there tough, but then bitching about the violence. Then bitching about jumping the blade. Would that be something she could say? That's funny as fuck. Jumping the blade. That's a German saying. I mean, it's not in German, obviously, but there's a German saying, like an old German saying that I can't recall, but I do remember because I was writing like a lot of parts of German stuff. There's a German saying that I almost used for Vendra, where she was like basically saying like, ah, yeah, he jumped the blade. It's like a German saying like way back in the day, which just means like you died in battle. He jumped the blade. But it's something weird that Grail could actually say. Like, rah, we ain't the same. Let's not pretend we are. Man's nothing like me. Dim man out here acting tough. Then they're bitching about jumping the blade. Like, is man the only one that knows it was the greatest thing to ever happen? Like, is man the only one that knows? Like, is man the only one? I don't like this last line, but but it should be like she's basically saying like, but this is what we're on type shit. Like, this is the greatest thing to happen. Like, man's the only one. Like, man's the only one that knows it was the greatest thing to happen. But, like, man's the only one that knows. Like, man's the only one. Like, man's the only one that remembered what I signed up for. Like, man's the only one that remembered what I signed up for. Like, man's the only one that remembered. I don't like that word though, remembered. I don't know, it sounds weird. Like, man's the only one that knows what I signed up for. Like, man's the only one that knows what we signed up for. Like, man's the only one that knows what we signed up for. Could be like that. That makes some sense. Like, rah, we ain't the same. Let's not pretend we are. Man's nothing like me. Them man out here acting tough but bitching about jumping the blade. Like, man's the only one that knows what we signed up for. Like, is man the only one that knows what we signed up for? Like, is man the only one that knows what we signed up for? Like, is man the only one that knows what we signed up for? God, in these streets, men are getting yinged up every night. I did that. And I did that. Dude, that would go so fucking hard, though, if you, like... If I, like, really, like, did a nice playthrough of a recording of me, like, talking like this. Like, a really clean recording of this. And, like, at the end, like, hearing that, like, in these streets, men are getting yinged up every night, and I did that. That would go really hard. Like, you could, like, I would make it sound very separate. Like, it wouldn't sound like the same recording or the same voice. It would sound a bit like a pitch difference. So, like, you understand that it's in her voice, it's in her head. It's like, she's talking, like, this is her talking out loud. Like, she's, like, bitching to herself, like, just, like, fucking ranting to nothing. And then, like, this voice is in her head, like, and I did that. That shit would go hard. That's the violence and hatred that shed the weak and worthless side of me. She don't live, but Grail's here to stay. That's the... Yeah. That's the violence and hatred that shed... That's the... That's the violence. That's the hatred that shed... That's the type of hatred. That's the type of hatred. Maybe just get rid of violence. Yeah, that's the hatred that shed the weak and worthless side of me. She don't live, but she don't live. She no longer lives. She don't live. She ain't live, but Grail's here to stay. She don't live, or should it be she ain't live? I mean, like, both, like, they're obviously, like, it's meant to sound, it's not correct either way, but she don't live. It's probably don't. She don't live, but Grail is here to stay. But Grail's here to stay. But Grail's here to stay. She continued. Gotta get rid of the writing stuff. She huffed. Something like that for now. Go back through it later. Basically just trying to fucking absolutely go crazy on the slang rant. That's the idea, is like heavy slang rant. This hate I feel is truly a gift. This hate I feel is truly a gift. Come test me. Come test this. The only thing I have left, you can test it. the only thing I have left. It's the only thing I have left. It's the only thing man has left. It's the only thing man has left. The only thing that won't leave me. The only thing that won't abandon me. The only thing that won't abandon me. This hate I feel is truly a gift, come test me. Something like that. It's like, how do I fucking write that though, dude? How do I write that? This is like really unique. This is a I mean, regardless of what ends up this being, like, regardless if this ends up being bend or not, this is unique, that's for sure. It's something different. This hate I feel is truly a gift. Come test it. I'd have to write it like this. Like, this is basically how I have to write it. Either that or I have to write it like this. Come test it. But then it'll be really long. Come test it. Like, every time it talks, it would have to be, like, down like that, right? This hate I feel is truly a gift. Come test it. It's the only thing that man has left. The only thing that won't abandon me. It's the greatest thing I've ever felt. Greatest thing I ever felt. Greatest thing I ever felt. Greatest thing man ever felt. This feeling gave me everything I could ever want. This feeling gave me... This feeling gave man everything. Gave me everything. Made man into everything. Made man into exactly what I always wanted to be. Made man into exactly what I wanted to be. But no one understands. You will never understand. But none of you lot ever understand. But none of you lot understand. But none of you lot understand. But none of you lot understand. You won't ever understand. Where I come from, you're either nothing. Where I come from, you're either the greatest or nothing. Where I'm from. I used to be nothing. I used to be nothing. I also don't think she'd refer to herself as a woman. I don't know, like, that sounds weird to her too. She doesn't really say that. I mean, I don't feel like she ever says, like, man, woman, girl, guy. Actually, she says gal, I guess. Gal, sometimes, occasionally. Very rarely. But it's not to refer to herself, it's to refer to, like, some girls. I don't know. I used to be nothing, but then I found a way. I used to be nothing, but then I found a way. But then I found a way. She paused for a moment. Grail found a way. Now I stand with none my equal. You notice to be true. Look at you now. You stand with none your equal. So this could go like into the voice, right? Like, but look at you now. But look at you now. You stand. You stand with none your equal. You stand with none your equal. Yeah, I notice. I don't know, this is gonna be so weird. I'm not sure if I like it or not. I mean, it's kind of just a rant. It's interesting. It's a little closer to my rant in my head, like, that I originally wrote before, like, this part was a thing. I will say there's something so fun about, like, reading her, like, slang, though. It's just a ton of fun. Oh, I didn't do this line yet. We all like to think we're the centerpiece, but chances are you're just feeling something much bigger than yourself without even realizing it. Some of us are just here to die. Some of us... Yeah, it shouldn't be like... She wouldn't say this. Some of us are just here to die. She'd be like... Be more like... Like... I watched Bear Man step on the block just to die. I watched Bear Man just... Yeah. I seen Bear Man. I seen... Bear Man step on the block. Bear Man walk the block. Just to die. Just to die. I seen Bear Man walk the block just to die. Your very death could be the catalyst of a famed warrior's rise to dominance. That very death, and that very death. But sometimes that death. I guess I could just get rid of this, but this is a cool line, bro. Like, it just bothers me to get rid of these lines that are cool. But it would make sense without that. I seen Bear Man walk the block just to die. Maybe that's your purpose? Just to fall in battle years in the making? Well, she wouldn't say it like that either. But me? Man, so much more than just a piece of some fucking story. We all walk around like we're the centerpiece. We all walk around. Dawn? Is that what she would say? That's such a weird thing, random, I know, but we all walk the ends like we're to dawn. Was that what she'd say? It can't be centerpiece. She wouldn't say centerpiece, but I'm trying to think of a slang term that would be like you're him, basically. We all walk around like we're him. I mean, she could say that, but we all walk the ends like we're to dawn. But chances are you're nothing more than... Is that what she would say? We all walk the ends. We all walk the ends like we're to dawn. I don't know, that's the only thing I can think of that kind of makes sense. But if you step to man, you'll find quickly. I hate all the red squigglies because it thinks I'm typing shit wrong. We all walk the ends like we're the dawn, but if you step to man, you'll find out quickly that's not the case. You're just feeling something much bigger without knowing it. I seen Bearman walk the block just to die. I seen Bearman walk the block just to die. Your death. That death. That death. Ooh, I got one. Have most of it. I mean, I can just like... I think she would say dominance though, but... I seen Bearman walk the block just to die, turned back just so some neat could feel some rise to dominance. Maybe that's your purpose in life? Turn back just so some neat could feel some rise in dominance. Turn back just so some neat could feel some type of way. Maybe that's your purpose in life? Soaking on the streets. Soaking the streets. Maybe that's your purpose in life. Soaking my streets. Soaking my streets. Years in the making. Soaking my streets after years of pain. Soaking my streets, years in the making? I don't think she'd say that. It's another important line though, years in the making. It's meant to make you feel like, yeah, that's all your life was. It's like you spent so long, and then it's just that. Soaking my streets after all of that? After everything you went through? soaking my streets after everything we went through. But me? Man's so much more than just a piece of some fucking story. Like, rah, we ain't the same. Let's not pretend we are. Man's nothing like me. Them man out here acting tough, but then bitching about jumping the blade. Like, is man the only one that knows that what we signed up for? Caught in these streets, men are getting yinged up every night. Caught in these streets, men are getting yinged down every night. Caught in these streets, men are getting yinged down every night. And I did that. I did that. Caught in these streets, men are getting yinged down every night. Caught in these streets, men are getting yinged up every night. I don't know, I guess up sounds better. I don't know, you can use either, but I'm switching back and forth. I did that. Yeah, that's the hate that shed the weak and worthless side of me. She don't live, but Grail's here to stay. She huffed. This hate I feel's truly a gift. Come test it. I want you to test it. You can come test it. Come test it. Yeah, sounds good. A lot of this sounds good. I just don't know if it's better than the original thing, but it sounds right. It's her, like, obviously frustrated, ranting kind of shit. I mean... I like the little, like, I really do like the additions of, like, what she's, like, the voice, like, adding shit on. The ad-lib type shit. This hate I feel is truly a gift, come test it. I like that. Wait, I just saw Cot had, commented on this. That's funny. That's funny. Alright. Wait, I didn't like that. Wait, I didn't like that video even though it was like... Why not? Alright. But look at you now, you stand with none your equal. Yeah, I notice. She replied to the voice in her head. Yeah, I notice. Too bad they don't. Yeah, I notice, she replied to the voice in her head. But they don't. But they don't. Raw, why can't you just leave men alone? Life ain't about happiness. I don't know if it would... How would it say this? Hmm. I really wish I could play music while I was on stream. That'd be so nice. That's dirty. I don't know if I should say that. Let's see. Especially times. Especially the times when. What the fuck? Boat toss. Alright, I feel like that sounds kind of good. With no one left in her life for the time being, and the only thing to comfort her now far from reach, all feeling fled as the cold wind swept. The snow had mostly melted around her, and the bare trees offered no cover from the outside world. This was her sanctuary, but it was absent her best friend once more. Where she had gone, Grail did not know. Now she sat with the greatest of company. So now she sat with the greatest of company. Now she sat with the greatest of company. The blade near her waist was much colder than the ice on the lake. The blade on her waist was colder. Was much colder. Was far colder. Blade on her waist was far colder than the ice. Than the ice on the lake. I don't like the sound of that. Than the icy lake. Sounds a bit better. Now she sat with the greatest of company. The blade near her waist was far colder than the icy lake. Than that icy lake. Than that icy lake. Is that not a word? Oh, it's like that. Yeah, that's right. Than that icy lake. It had froze Mini-Man before. It was the only thing that never slipped her mind. It was truly the only thing that never slipped. It was the only thing that would never slip her mind. Especially in the times when it found its way in between her bones. Especially the times when it found its way in between her bones. She may have stood there alone, gazing at nothing, but the last thing she felt was privacy. Something sinister embedded in her head gave her unwanted company something sinister embedded in her head gave her unwanted company wherever she might roam, racking her brain with insults and trauma, a voice that had convinced her to inject metal on more than one occasion. finish what you're doing. Welcome. How's my day been? It's been alright. Just trying to work on this. I don't know how much you heard of this, but I've come up with some ideas that I think are alright. One second, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm here. I might, I think I'm gonna get off actually, like, really soon to hang out with my dad for a bit. I was trying to listen, but I was kind of occupied, so I kind of heard some, but it didn't really go into my mind since I wasn't paying full attention. I'll read you some of the stuff I have, and then I'm gonna game with my dad for a bit off stream, and then probably I'll stream again later, but... So I'm trying, I mean, it's a lot of work, so I'm trying to switch all this, so I wrote, like... I redid some of this, like... with no one left in her life for the time being, and the only thing of comfort now far from reach, all feeling fled as the cold wind swept. The snow had mostly melted around her, and the bare trees offered no cover from the outside world. This was her sanctuary, but it was absent her best friend once more. Where she had gone, Grail did not know. Now she sat with the greatest of company. The blade near her waist was far colder than that icy lake. It had froze many men before. It was the only thing that never slipped her mind, especially the times when it found its way in between her bones. She may have stood there alone, gazing at nothing, but the last thing she felt was privacy. Something sinister embedded in her head gave her unwanted company wherever she might roam, racking her brain with insults and trauma, a voice that had convinced her to inject metal on more than one occasion. That's pretty hard. That start is pretty fucking hard. I like that. Let's see what else we got. So, I wrote this, like, yeah, Ra, why can't you just leave a man alone? This is, like, gonna be edited. Let's see, let's do that. Put it down some. Ra, why can't you just leave a man alone? Grail scanned the trees for her friend, something she had done every day for the past few weeks, but it was only her breath that could be seen here. Life ain't about happiness, not our way of life, it answered. It's all about, if only that strength could lift your ego aside, maybe then you could get to work on the ends. That's like an idea, but not done yet. Let's see. And then what else did I redo? I didn't redo that. I redid this. We all walk the ends like we're to dawn. We all walk the ends like we're to dawn, but if you step up to men, you'll find quickly that's not the case. You just fueling something bigger without knowing it. I seen Bearman walk the block just to die, turned pack just so some neat could feel some type of way. Maybe that's your purpose in life, soaking my streets after everything we went through. But me, man's so much more than just a piece of some fucking story. Like, rah, we ain't the same. Let's not pretend we are. Man's nothing like me. Them man out here acting tough, but them bitching about jumping the blade. Like, is man the only one that knows that what we signed up for? 'Cause on these streets, men are getting yinged up every night, and I did that. I think that, like, this goes hard. It's just, like, basically her ranting. Like, she's talking out loud. Actually, wait, I need to change that. Should be quotations, not the other ones. Because the quotations are, like, her talking out loud. This is, like, her actually talking to no one. She's, like, ranting. Just bitching. Like, ranting. This is, like, her continuing it. Like, rah, we ain't the same. Let's not pretend we are. Man's nothing like me. And then it should end right here. Should end, the quotation should end right here. On these streets, men are getting yinged up every night. Which is when she stops talking, but then the voice in her head is like, I did that. Which is fucking hard. It's hard if I could pull it off. That's fucking hard. And I did that. I don't know if it should be down one like this. On these streets, men are getting yinged up every night. I did that. And then she continues, like, she hears that, like, that happens in her head. It's like, I did that. She's like, yeah. Like, she starts by saying, yeah. I feel like I had to add that. Like she's like agreeing. It's like a back and forth. Like I did that. Yeah, that's the hatred that shed the weak and worth the sight of me. She don't live, but Grail's here to stay. And then there'd be a bit of a break, probably more detail, but then just this, like, this hatred I feel is truly a gift. Come test it. I like that. It's literally like it's talking. It's like just it's adding shit to what she says. Like this hate I feel is truly a gift. Yeah, come test it. It's the only thing man has left. The only thing that won't abandon me. Greatest thing man ever felt. This feeling gave me everything. Made man into exactly what I always wanted to be. But none of that. But none of you lot will ever understand. But none of you lot understand. You won't ever understand. Where I'm from, you're either the greatest or you're nothing. I used to be nothing, but then I found a way. She paused for a moment. Grail found a way. But look at you now. You stand with none your equal. Yeah, I notice, she replied to the voice in her head, but they don't. I don't know, like, these are gonna be edited, but, like, that is the same idea. It's like, yeah, but look at you now. You stand with, like, but look at you now. It should be, well, actually, it should be, but look at you now. After you turned that man dust, you stand with none your equal. It should be like that. But look at you now, after you turned that man dust, you stand none your equal. You stand with none your equal. Yeah, I notice. That's pretty much like, that's where I've gotten to. I've just kind of fucked around with that stuff. This, like, whole rant, though, goes fucking hard. Dude, I love, like, the slang. It really, like, I don't know, something about it. Yeah, that's what I'm worried. I don't know how it'll work. Like, I mean, I'll have to, like, fucking figure it out. But I don't know how it would work if I wrote it. Because, I mean, you could also do this, like, right? You could do it like that. Which does show a break. But, like, it's a quicker break, you know what I mean? Maybe I should write it like that. So it's like, so it's read that way. Like, in these streets, men are getting yinged up every night. I did that. Oh, also, it would be italics. Because it's in her head. So maybe it would, like, maybe like that it would read better, you know? Like, on these streets, men are getting yinged up every night. And I did that. I don't know if it should say, and I did that. Like, I don't know if it should be, and I did that. Because these, on these streets, men are getting yinged up every night, and I did that. I don't think there should be an and. I know it sounds better. I know and sounds better. Like, it sounds clearer. But the and makes it sound like she did that. Like, Grail did that, which is true. Grail did that. But it's not Grail, quote unquote, that's saying I did that. It's the voice in her head. So it's almost like it's a different person. So it shouldn't be and, I don't think. Because it's like, yeah, like, men are getting yinged up every night. And then the voice in her head's like, yeah, I did that. I don't know. It goes fucking hard, though. I did that. Yeah, it goes so fucking hard, though. And I like this one, too. I like this idea, too. Like, this hate I feel is truly a gift. Come test it. And, like, whenever I read it, I think that's how I would read it in the audiobook. I think it would be like, this hate I feel is truly a gift. And then, like, with no break. Like, I would edit the other line almost like as if, like, right as I end gift, like, right as I hit the T of gift, it would immediately when, like, you'd hear, like, come test it. Like, there would be no break. It's literally, like, the end of the sentence. It's like an addition to the sentence. But it will sound different. Like, it's so immediate. That's how it would be. It's like, it'd be really immediate. Like, no break. Like, this hate I feel is truly a gift. Come test it. But, like, different layers. I think that, like, that's what I'm hearing in my head, and it sounds cool as fuck. I don't know. I'm excited. I'm gonna work on this more once me and my dad get off, actually. So I'll probably be back on my stream late. Just to fuck around with this some more. I think I'll be back on my stream. I feel like I'm in the mood to fuck around with this kind of shit, too, just because... I haven't been feeling bad, but I've been feeling, like, a bit frustrated, and, like, this is something that... Like, this is the type of shit I want to work on when I am, so... And I need to get this done anyway so I can post more shit to my TikTok, like my writing one. And hope to fuck I get some views, because the last one that I spent hours working on got fucking nothing. Actually, I don't know. Should I just post it again? Like, is that a thing I should do? Like, should I, like, is that a thing I should do? Just try to post, like, my writing again and just see what happens? Like, should I try that? Just repost it? You're already starting to get tired? Oh, you might not be. I mean, I don't know, like... I don't know, I'm gonna try to, like... I'm gonna try to repost it. Reposts are a huge part of social media. Yeah, I'm gonna try to repost it. I'm gonna do that right now. I might just repost both. But alright, I'm gonna get off stream so my dad's not waiting, because he's already waiting, so... I'll be back later if you're up. If not, hopefully you get some good rest, man. But yeah, I'll be back. Probably a couple hours. It's like probably when I'll be back. So, later.